Alright guys, so this is going to be the first video in the Python fundamentals section where we just look at Python code, nothing to do with Django yet, just basic syntax, fundamental stuff like that. So in this video I want to look at just the basics. I want to look at variables, data types, casting, things like that. Okay, and if you already know Python, then you probably know most of the stuff that we're going to do here, if not all. So if you want to skip this section entirely and move on, then that's absolutely fine. But if you haven't used Python before, you're very you just got into it, I would suggest going through this section. So starting off with comments in Python, we use a number sign for a comment. I know that a lot of you are probably JavaScript developers. Those of you that have been following me, that follow my YouTube channel and stuff, we do a lot of JavaScript where we use double slash for comments, but in Python we're going to be using the number sign. Now, for multi-line comments, there is something called a docstring, which has multiple purposes. These are used often in functions to kind of describe what the function does. But as you can see, if you just use them outside a function, they're just ignored, just like a comment. And you can use these. It can either be single quotes or double quotes, and there has to be 3 of them. Okay, so just as this is a multi-line comment, or docstring can be single or double quotes. All right, so as far as variable rules, they're pretty much the same as many other languages. They're case sensitive, so name all lowercase and name all uppercase. These are going to be different variables, different values. They must start with a letter or an underscore. They can have numbers in them, but they can't start with a number. So these are very common rules for most languages. So let's go ahead and create a variable. I'm just going to create one called x, and I'm going to give it the value of 1. So in Python we don't use semicolons. Okay, like I said, I'm going to be referencing JavaScript quite a bit because I know that a lot of the people that watch my courses and videos are JavaScript developers, so I'm going to reference it a lot. And there's no semicolons. There's also not curly brackets and stuff like that, but I'll get into that when we do functions and conditionals and stuff. So this is how we can declare a variable. Very simple. There's no var or anything like that. We just just whatever we want to call the variable. So I'll do that, and then I'll put another variable. I'll do, let's say, 2.5. Let's create another one called name, and I'm going to go over these data types in a second. So this one I'll just say Brad, and let's say is underscore cool, and we'll set to true. All right, so I've created variables of different types here, and Python has it has quite a few types. The main ones though are going to be int. Okay, so this is an int, an integer, a whole number, can be negative or positive. A float, which is a floating point number, or kind of like a decimal. A string, which can be really anything, any string of characters, and you can use double or single quotes. And then a Boolean, which is a true or false. And Booleans in Python have to be uppercase. They have to start with an uppercase. Okay, so you don't want to do that. You want to do that. All right, so I'm just going to put some comments here. Whoops, I don't want to do that. I want to say int, and let's say this is a float, and I want you guys to have this as a reference so that you can go back to it if you ever need to. So this is a bool. Okay, it's actually called a bool, not a boolean. That's the technical type. All right, so we can assign variables like this. We can also do multiple assignments. Okay, so if I want to do, let's say, x, y, name, and is cool. And by the way, you can do it this way with underscore, or you can do camel case if you want to do that. I tend to do more underscore for just regular variable names. I don't know why. That's just what I kind of gravitated towards, but it's up to you how you want to format your variables. And then we can set all of these by using just parentheses, and let's say 1, we'll say 2.5, let's say Brad, and true. Okay, so it's just kind of a shorthand to do exactly what we did up here. So I'm going to just comment this out for a second, or not for a second, but we're going to comment that out, and then I'm going to show you how we can actually output something. So in JavaScript, we usually do like a console.log. In Python, we're going to do print. Okay. In Python 2, you could do print like this. So if I try to run this with Python 3, we're going to get an error. If I actually ran it with Python 2, we get 1, because in Python 3 we need to use parentheses. Okay, so we want to stick to Python 3 syntax. So let's say print x like that. Okay, we'll save that. We'll go back down here and run it, and we get 1. Okay, and we can print more than one thing if we want to do all of them. Name is cool, and we run that. You can see that it's going to print out all of our values here. All right, so I mean, we can do like basic math. So let's say basic math. If we want to do like, let's say a equals x plus y, and then we print a and run this, we get 3.5. Okay, if we want to check the type, let's put a comment in here. I'll say check type. I'm just commenting it so you guys have it to go back to. So we can do print, and then we just wrap whatever we want to check in type. So let's check, we'll say x. All right, we'll save that, clear this up, and run it. This is just from this print up here, but this is what we got. So it just gives us class int, because it's an integer. If we do y and we run that, we get float. If we do name, we get string, and if we do is cool, we get bool. Okay, so if we want to cast something, like let's say we want to take this x value, which is an int by default, and we want to define it as a string, we can do that. So if we say, let's do casting, so I'll say x is equal to, and then I'm going to just use str. So if I wrap x in str, it should make it a string. So now what I'll do is actually move this down here so we can check the type, and I want to check the type of x. Okay, before it was an int, but now I casted it to a string, so now you can see we get class string. Okay, if I wanted to, let's do y equals, so y was a float, I could change it to an int. Okay, so if we do print type y, we get int, and if I actually print the value of y, oops, didn't mean to move that. So if I print the value of y, we get 2. Okay, and initially it was 2.5, but it just basically rounded it to 2 because it's an int, it's a whole number. Okay, if we wanted to change an int to a float, let's say we'll do, we already did y, let's say z equals, and then we'll cast y to a float. Okay, y was initially an integer. So if we print the type of z and we print out z, let's see what we get. So we get class float because we change it to a float, and then it adds a 0.0 onto it, okay, because now it's a floating point number. All right, so hopefully that gives you an idea of how to create variables, some of the data types, how to check the types, how to cast to different types and stuff like that. Okay, so that's it for this video, guys. In the next video, I want to start to look at strings and how to format them. I want to look at some string methods and stuff like that. All right, so I'll see you in the next video.